Esthers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, my dog is getting old and he's losing energy and he needs to also lose weight. So, my mom and I have been doing some research lately and she came across 3 really nice healthy recipes that he has really actually been enjoying. And so I wanted to share them with you because we all know that store-bought dog food from the grocery store does not have the health that homemade dog food has in it. So without further ado, let's get started.
For this recipe, we're going to be making something like a beef stew. Now, I normally use different pots and pans and utensils when I'm making dog food. If it's actually like bagged or canned dog food, I don't let them touch our human utensils, but this is actually human food. So I'm using my normal utensils and supplies. So the main ingredient is going to be our stew meat, and you need 1 pound of the stew meat, and then a medium-sized sweet potato. So I actually bought a large one. I already made a batch of this previously, so I cut this in half and I've got half left. So what's left is kind of a medium-sized sweet potato. And then for the other vegetables, it is green beans and carrots. And then we'll just need a little bit of flour and water, but it's a pretty easy beef stew, which then you could mix onto some dry kibble for the dog. After scrubbing the sweet potato, cut the ends off of it, and then use a fork and be sure to pierce it multiple times, just like you would a baked potato. Microwave the sweet potato for 4 to 6 minutes. I start with 4 because then I want to test it. You want it to be cooked but still slightly firm. You don't want it to get mushy. While the sweet potato's cooking, let's go ahead and get our meat ready. Always put the raw meat on a different cutting board. Use a separate knife, separate cutting board, so it never touches your vegetables. So we're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. It depends on the size of your dog. The smaller the dog, I would make smaller size pieces. They kind of recommend about nickel-sized pieces. So I'm just cutting it into small chunks. After touching the raw meat, be sure to wash your hands really well. Next, we're going to heat up the meat. You can use any kind of oil, but you need about a tablespoon of oil, and I like to use olive oil. And then warm it up on about medium heat. This feels nice and soft, but still firm, so this should be done. Once the oil is warm, go ahead and put your meat in the pan, and we're going to cook it on medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes. While the meat's cooking, this is a perfect time to get our vegetables cut up. You just need a 1 cup altogether of the beans and the carrots. And so I just use a one measuring cup. I have gone over a cup before and I realized the proportions were a little too high. So keep it to 1 cup of vegetables roughly between the beans and the carrots, and don't go too much over it or else it makes it too heavy on the vegetable flavor. So dice the carrots into nice small pieces. Next, we'll cut up our green beans. Be sure to cut off the ends. And then again, just cut them into very small pieces. Almost kind of a diced size. Altogether, we have about 1 cup of vegetables. Be sure to periodically stir your meat. Cut up the sweet potato by dicing it into bite-sized pieces. Again, this is the level of firmness you want. You want it soft and cooked through, but you want to be able to slice it and have it stay intact without getting too mushy. Using a slotted spoon, remove the meat from the pan, but leave the drippings behind. That's really important juice that we want. Put the drippings back on the heat, but turn it to medium-low temperature. The next step is to create the gravy with the drippings. Now, the original ingredients said to use up to half a cup of flour, and I put the whole half a cup in, which meant that I had really thick gravy, and it said up to half a cup of water. I had to add a bunch more water in order to even it back out. So you're going to do it to whatever level of thickness seems appropriate to you, but you just keep adding flour and water until you get the thickness of gravy that you would like, using no more than half a cup of each. And just keep stirring, adding flour and water until it's the proper thickness, and then let it warm up. So you want your gravy to be nice and thick. So let's put our sweet potatoes into our gravy and also our vegetables. Stir them around to coat them. As this is warming, I often add more water, a little by little, because I want it to be more of a stew consistency and not too thick. So I very often keep adding water as I'm cooking to make sure that there's enough moisture to cook the vegetables and that this isn't too thick. But this is really up to your discretion how thick or how moisturized you want it to be. After a few minutes, go ahead and add the meat back in as well, so the meat can finish cooking and get warmed up again. And stir it all together. Once it's all stirred together, again, add more water if you need to keep it a nice gravy, not too dry and not too thin, whatever consistency you like or your dog will like. And then we're going to let it warm back up and cook together to soften the vegetables for about 10 minutes. The beef stew is all done. Remember to make it to the level of thickness you would like. I actually like it a little bit thin because I like putting it mixed with kibble. So I want it to be a little bit moister so that it also drenches in with the kibble and makes the kibble nice and moist. The rest can be put into a bowl and refrigerated, and it will last for several days. So it's Saturday afternoon. I'm busy doing work and homework, and my daughter's busy doing work, but it's actually an ideal time to go ahead and make a couple more batches of dog food. So we're going to be working today on a turkey dish and a chicken dish. Basically, with the homemade food, it's just a meat, possibly a grain with it, and then a combination of vegetables. So this is we're gonna start with the turkey dish, which is a nice, easy one pot dish. So you just need 1 pound of ground turkey. This is 3 pounds, so we'll be using 1/3 of this package. Then you need brown rice. Be sure it's brown. Now, I'm gonna explain one thing. I previously got the long grain brown rice and followed the recipe, which only required 20 minutes of cooking. But I later looked on the back because I thought, what is going wrong? And it takes 45 to 50 minutes of cooking. So make sure to see how long your rice needs. Altogether, this batch only takes about 20 minutes. So this time around, I still got a whole grain brown rice, but it is what they call parboiled. And so this is a rice then that only takes about 20 minutes to cook. It's a whole grain parboiled brown rice. So you can get whatever kind of brown rice you want, but just make sure of the time. If you get a rice that takes a long time, you need to start pre-cooking the rice before you add the other ingredients. And then you're just looking at some kind of a vegetable medley, like with broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, or some other vegetables. So in a large pot, we're going to put 6 cups of water. And turn it on medium high. 2 cups of brown rice. So I made this previously and it just calls for 1 pound of the ground turkey, but I found that it was more rice than I wanted, and so I'm actually going to use 1.5 pounds of the turkey just so that it has more meat in proportion to the rice. So I'm going to actually use half of this package, but you can make it once and see what proportion you like. And you're just going to tear the turkey, just kind of shred it between your fingers, or you can put it all in the pan and then shred it. I like shredding it ahead of time, and you're going to drop it down into the pan. So stir it together, breaking up the chunks of turkey. mixing it with the rice. And I went ahead and turned up the heat a little bit because we want to bring this to a boil. And once it's stirred well and the turkey is broken up and it's boiling, then we're going to turn it down to low to simmer it for about 15 minutes. Include a teaspoon of dried rosemary. While the meat and rice are cooking for about 15 minutes, go ahead and chop your fresh vegetables. For this particular dish, I like a cauliflower, broccoli, and carrot combination, and we want 2 cups. Our meat and rice have been simmering on low for about 15 minutes, so now we're going to add in our 2 cups of vegetables for the final 10 minutes. Some people steam their vegetables ahead of time or microwave them to soften them. If you want to do that, then you only need to put them in the last 5 minutes. But I actually prefer the vegetables to cook in the meat dish as opposed to microwaving them, just to retain more of their vitamins. Altogether, the dish should cook for about 25 minutes. And again, you can do the ratio that works for you, but this is about 50% meat, 50% rice. So it's about half and half. When I tried it before and used less meat, I just felt like it was too much rice. And then you can see that the vegetables are mixed in there, but they're not too heavy, so it won't have a strong vegetable flavor. It's a little bit thin. If you want, you can let it cook longer in order to make it less runny, but I actually like putting it on top of kibble, so I like it to have some moisture with it. And it will also soak this in as it cools off. Look how nice this turkey turned out. And it will last up to 5 days in the refrigerator. So the next dog dish that we're going to make is a chicken casserole. It's got the same basic ingredients of meat and rice and a variety of vegetables. The first ingredient is 4 pieces of boneless chicken. These are kind of small strip size, so I have 6 of them. But again, adjust the amount for what you feel comfortable with. I just don't like tons of rice and a little bit of meat. I prefer there to be more meat with complemented with the rice. And then you're going to be using a whole grain brown rice, and then a variety of vegetables. This is where you can alternate it a little bit for your dog. So there can be some cabbage, some spinach, some green beans, and some broccoli. In a medium to large pot, add 3 cups of water. Add in 1½ cups of brown rice. Turn the heat to a medium-high so that you can bring it to a low boil. While the rice begins to cook, go ahead and cut the raw chicken into bite-sized pieces. Be sure to use a cutting board and a knife dedicated to raw meat that does not get mixed with your vegetables. Add the raw meat to the rice and stir to combine. The chicken casserole recipe calls for a little more vegetables than in the other dishes. It's a total of 3 cups of vegetables altogether. There's a cup of cabbage and a cup of broccoli, ½ cup of green beans, and ½ cup of spinach torn into bite-sized pieces. And of course, all of it cut into bite-sized pieces. You can adjust the quantity and what vegetables you include based on what your dog likes. So kind of experiment to your dog's palate and see what works best. Once the chicken and rice have been cooking for about 15 minutes, go ahead and add in the green beans and add in the broccoli so that they start getting softened and cooked. It's ½ cup of green beans and a cup of broccoli. In the last 5 minutes of cooking, go ahead and add in the cup of cabbage and add in the ½ cup of spinach and stir all of that in. Here's the finished product of the chicken dish. So one of the things that I like about this homemade food is that I know what my dog is eating. I have a busy life. It is so much simpler to just go to the store and buy a bag of food and buy some wet food and mix them together. But and my dog gets a lot of exercise, but it still struggles with weight. And I know that it's like putting junk food into my dog, and he's getting older. I don't want him to be overweight and have joint pain. So what is so nice with these dishes is that it's all natural ingredients. They're not seasoned highly. They're not processed. They're wholesome. I mean, this is human food, basically. And it's a combination of meat. This is just meat and vegetables. You can put brown rice with it so that it's a combination of meat, rice, and vegetables. And you can adjust it to the taste buds of your particular dog. But you know what your dog is eating, and it's healthier. And already, I've been doing this now for about a month, so relatively recently, but I've noticed a huge difference. My dog is already losing weight, and he's more energetic, and he gobbles this up. He just loves all three of these dishes. So I do them in combination, and you can do them alone, or you can buy a high quality kibble and mix it with this. But that way I can actually afford the higher quality kibble because I'm only buying a little bit of it as opposed to bulk of the kibble, and then I have to pay for the cheaper stuff. So if you add in the kibble, make sure it's a really good quality kibble, or you can do these alone. And you can adjust it to whatever works for your dog. So we bought some healthy kibble, and we're spooning a couple scoops on top of the healthy kibble, and then we'll mix it all together.
So here's the real test. Come here, baby. He likes it. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know your dog will definitely appreciate the different recipes. Tag me if you made them. Comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear all about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, follow my Instagram for more updates, and I will see you next time. Bye!